Hey folks, welcome back. It's the Restoration Couple, it's the big barn build, and we've got some oak up. A little glimpse of it behind me, but stick around and I'll show you how we got it up there. Right, back on the oak frame, and we're trying to get most of this up in the air today. So we're going to assemble the bottom half. Tom's been doing all the hard work whilst I've been off gallivanting around with a cow. We're going to peg some of these joints before we lift it. So I've been knocking up a few pegs. I was using air dried oak from the porch build, so 5 years old that oak. Splitted it down and I've basically cut it into an octagon on the bandsaw. And then that just still wasn't getting it small enough, so I found a plate that had been pre-drilled. It was for one of the bottom of our steel columns that had 19mm holes in. I found that was a little bit too small, so I've opened up to 20mm, and I think they're about right. So this is what you end up with once they've been knocked through. So they're still kind of following the grain, still hopefully nice and strong. These four here are the ones that are 1mm slimmer, so we might hold on to them as backup. But I'll just show you these last two. Although these are quite chunky, they'll take a bit of knocking. No.
The end is already chipped off.
So at this point we're doing a few little test lifts and twists and straps just to get a feel for how the balance is, where the weight is, and of course it is top heavy. However, with a combination of straps and just bit by bit working it up, we're making sure we're staying safe. So Jo came out and she was able to do some of the lifting while Tom and I controlled the way it tipped up. Now I'm sure you're not meant to have a strap over the top of the mast like that. Really all of that is just holding it in between. It's not doing the lifting, we're doing the lifting, and it's just strapping it until we're ready to lift again. So as we went up, we could just kind of test each stage to make sure it was nice and solid. We had 2 straps on at any one time, and we could just slowly, bit by bit, work it up to vertical. So we're finally upright and nice and secure. We are sitting nice and tidy on the forks. We're able to hold it steady whilst it also is strapped, and there's also a bit of softwood there horizontally, which means that it cannot fall backwards towards the mast. It can't fall away from us because of the anchor strap. So I think it works out okay. I don't think there are any other ways we could have done it with a forklift if we were lifting it as an H-post like this. Now we're on the way up to do some of the smaller components. So we were able to get those intermediate posts in. They just dropped into the mortises in that beam, and then we could get the angled tops on. So those ones need a little bit of work to make sure they sit down onto those tenons. We can get them all pegged, and hopefully they're going to fit at equal distance around our window frames. Ahoy! There you go, we're going to go back up, a few finishing touches to do. We've got to cut off pegs, do some chamfers. We're now going to get the left hand bit in, which is far easier because we've got the forklift. So unlike where we were messing around with the Genie on the patio, this one we should be able to just lift the post on and drop it on. As a reminder, it's just this section here that's just going to sit across there onto here with a wind brace either side. And then hopefully we can peg all that. We've just been making up pegs as we go, but we need another 5, 10, 11 here. We haven't got 11 pegs, have we? Well, we were all geared up to get it lifted, but we realised we hadn't drilled 2 of the braces, so we've done that now. We've done another layout down here to make sure everything's offset, drilled, and now we've just made up another load of pegs. So all being well, this one will lift up. The only difference with this one is we've got to drop it down onto a tenon this side. We've got this tenon here, so what we're going to need to do is go up a little bit higher and hopefully drop that one in. But that post over there will already be stood, so we'll have to kind of swing her in. But I'm hoping that we can get 2 braces in here with podgers just floating. Then at least all of our tenons are pointing upwards and we can just move stuff around. But hopefully this step detail won't cause any issues. Should still fit in okay.
Yeah, just that little bit less.
So can't really quad that. fall out. Now the forks need to drop again, so I'm just 10 mil too high. Yeah, good. Well, we almost did it. It was 5 days, I think, in total to get this side done. Unfortunately, because we're waiting on that last beam, we still need to just hold off, and then this end will be done. But let me give you a bit of a close-up. I explained exactly why we couldn't do that. This beam here, you can see this split. I could see it when we unloaded. It was a bit of a split that actually I couldn't see all the way through the pack, but it goes all the way, well, about a third of the way up. So that was a bit frustrating, because that would have meant that we could finish it, but the braces are done, the posts done. We're just going to have to get that beam on site and then we can finish. Unfortunately, we also realised we haven't put a mortise in here for the brace, so that one we'll have to drill and chisel in situ, but you know, we can get that done, that's fine. A few people have asked about where we got the oak from. We used a website that was called Venables Oak. They're a sawmills or supplier. Not a million miles from here, but their online quoting was pretty easy to use, so we went for them. Not worked with them, it's not a paid thing, but that's where we got it from. At the end of the day, it's all French oak, and actually it's probably the same stuff that a lot of the sawmills are getting in, if they're selling French oak, that is. So I'm not too sure how consistent or how it stacks up to other stuff, but it's been fairly regular. We obviously had a bit of an issue with the tallest post, because they're only 150 mil square, yet they were over 5 meters tall. You're not going to get a perfectly straight piece of timber, so we had to strap them in. So there was that one stage where we pulled them in tight when we were doing the joinery, and now they're upright, absolutely no problem at all. They sat exactly where we wanted them to, and we've got a nice tight joint. That's obviously helped by the fact that we've got all the braces to hold things square. So this is the little detail we put on. That just means that they've just got an extra bit of bearing on the post, and it also looks a bit more interesting. So all of that pretty much went to plan. Now obviously the actual raising of the frame, we might have skimmed over a bit of that in edit. I haven't seen the footage yet. There are safer and better ways to do it. Of course, you can try and put one piece up at a time, but actually you get a lot more control over things if you can frame things flat on the floor. But in our case, that would have made it very, very top heavy, which would have been an issue. The only way we would have been able to do that is if we got a crane on site and kind of lifted from the top, or even a very big telehandler. So we decided to put together the bottom half, but because of that, we still had the post sticking up. It was a bit top heavy. That's why you saw all those straps over the forklift. It was actually more controlled than it looked, because it was just on the teetering point, which is why we were able to just push it up manually, then double strap it so we knew it was safe, and then do the same again. Got it. Once you're over that kind of pinch point and you're up vertical, then it's okay, and then we keep drive it in with the forks under and just sit it in against the wall. Now for now, that has brackets back into the timber structure of the wall, and in time we'll be adding to that. But all of our stud work that's going to sit off this timber frame wall to carry our cladding will fix into that, so it will be part of the same wall structure, which is going to create a skin around the whole building on top of our brickwork. I'm really pleased though with how it sits around those windows. I think that's a good shout. It's kind of fairly modern looking timber frame, up there. Obviously we've still got those curved braces at the bottom, but I just think it would have been a bit busy up there if we tried to put some braces up there, and they wouldn't be needed structurally. So there we go, that is the big oak frame, hopefully the hardest one of the lot. There's going to be some internal oak, but for now that's almost just done. The thing we hadn't anticipated is how this side would look. Because that post was designed to sit on the side of the window, level flush with the end of the window, over here, because there's a big steel column in here, we had to have this width structure, but we couldn't have a post that wide, so we decided to sit that in so it lined up for upstairs. So it means that we're going to have a trim section here, which is fine, but it means that this brace now sits off from the glass, which only when you stand right back does it look a little bit odd, but I think once that is all in and all black, it probably would be okay, I hope. The only other option would have been to move this post over to the left, but then we would just have even more black trim around the place, and I think I prefer the look of the frame you know, snug up against the window. So there we go, that's the decision making that we have to make on the go. Right or wrong, it's in, and I think it probably resembles kind of what we've been aiming for all along, and somewhat similar to that render. Just had a delivery of insulation. That's our sort of internal acoustic and partition insulation. Also got a bit more natural light in here because the Velux windows have begun, so we're going to be sharing with you how they've been installed and what that's looking like. And in addition to that, we've just taken delivery of some steel ceiling tracking or ceiling profile, and we've just done a bit of a test and it works really well, so that is going to be a video in itself. And then finally we had some green boards arrive, because we've not had many green boards in a while. Probably frustrated you as much as it has us, but we've got some green to finish up here. This one here between the column, or in front of the column, some up here. So we finally managed to get a delivery of, I think, 12 sheets. So that means that we should be able to finish the internal skin of the building. And by doing that, it means that James can finish his electrics. And I think it probably warrants giving you a little look at what's been going on, because for the past week or two, James has been coming in and doing the first fix. I haven't filmed lots of it because we were cracking on with the oak and everyone was doing their own thing. But it's nice to have all that in. I think we filmed some of the rooms when he first started, but now the whole ground floor is done and a good amount of the upstairs rooms. So this is how he's left it all. So he's put some blocking in between studs, all the boxes are on, everything labelled up. So there's a fair bit of decision making that we've done along the way. We've got quite detailed plans that the architect did, but of course in reality when you start working about where doors are going to swing and how we might change things around, that's where it needs that on-site sort of, well, consultation / changing of minds. So there's more sockets over here, and we decided to, or under James's recommendation, leave these a little bit proud, so when we come to fit the insulation, the plasterboard, we can just bump it against there and it will give us a mark to cut. I'll give you a quick look upstairs. Cables everywhere for downlights. Obviously most of the cabling is coming through into the plant room here, so that's where all the major wiring is being done. But of course we've got our little substation going on in the annex, and also another one downstairs. So here you go, here's the back of it, but this is all the cable input. That's either side of the bed, in the master bedroom, and some of it he was waiting on because of course he can't do anything in the ceiling until we get the tracking in. But here you go, this is what Tom and I have been playing with today. There's a little sneak peek of the ceiling channels that we've been using. Quite easy to fit, screwing into the purlins nicely. The only thing that we were contemplating is whether there's any benefit of putting some sort of separation tape, acoustic tape or something between those two. I don't know. We've got 150 mil of insulation above the purlin, but you know, everything is connected. Whether any rain noise or anything will come all the way through, I don't know. But it's amazing how such thin gauge steel is so strong. In reality, these shouldn't need to be fitted anywhere closer than 600, but we've gone for 400. There's a good chance we're going to go with a tape and jointed ceiling to reduce weight, so that might just all be tapered edge boards, but I think that's fine. But 400 centres, unless anyone tells us otherwise, is what we're doing. And James has also brought up a few supplies where we've got walls to go in, so we've just got to drill the bottom plate and slide that over. But everywhere else, these bedrooms are all done. They're just crying out for a bit of surface battening, and then we're onto plasterboard, which is all quite exciting. Insulation and plasterboard. But we're not going to jump the gun because there is enough to get on with outside, and the main goal for the rest of the summer is to finish the outside of the building. We're not going to do anything inside that we don't need to, unless we're waiting on products or something like that. So we've got some extra block work to do out the back. Bricks are on order, they're on the way. I've just had a bricklayer come and quote, haven't received a quote yet. That may or may not be the deciding factor on whether we do it ourselves or not. I'd quite like the idea of using a lime mortar with these handmade clay bricks and the oak, and I think that might be a good look. And I don't know, we'll wait and see what the quote is. It's probably a couple of weeks work for guys to come in and do it for us, and in that time we could be doing something else. But on the flip side, it's probably a lot of money. But we'll wait and see. And another sort of elephant in the room is the swimming pool, which of course is no way near the priority list at the moment. However, bits need to be done on that in the next week or two, which involves plumbing and concrete, and then that ICF wall needs to be backfilled. For those of you who don't know about it, this is the harebrained idea we had when we were designing the building, was to put a swimming pool in this corner. There is no budget for it, there's no funds for it, there is no time for it, but we got to the point where, while we had diggers and dumpers and energy at the beginning, we dug the hole, we filled the slab in there, and we built this ICF pool. So money wise, we haven't put any more money into this room than we have anywhere else, because, you know, we haven't insulated the slab in there, we haven't done the polished concrete floor. Obviously this will start costing more, this area, once we start moving into the actual second fix of swimming pool. In the swimming pool world, that gets quite expensive. However, we need to get this up to the same level as the inside of the building. So we need to build up that outside wall over there, then we can backfill the ICF once we put extra timber bracing in. Backfill the ICF with concrete. That concrete is going to be monolithic with the slab, so it's going to be poured, and then, well, we're going to stop just shy of the top, and then above that is going to be poured across as our kind of ground bearing slab across to the building. Same the other side, and then at that point we've got everything level, flat, smooth. We can build that outside wall along the other side, and there's a bit more work to get the other end done. So the frustrating thing is, for us to be able to put brickwork along that far wall and to finish that wall, we need to start fitting plumbing and sump pumps and stuff like that in there, because unless we've got the pool sumps in and the skimmers, we can't backfill the ICF with concrete. So frustratingly, in order for us to put a wall up, we have to do plumbing. So not only have we finished the oak, we've also got rain celebrating here on the farm. But there we go. Not sure how much of that you can see. I'll give you a better shot in a minute. We've got our second side done, the oak beam turned up. So we framed all that in. By that point we were pretty well versed in what we needed to do. And now it's all good, it's all ready. The bricks are all here. We've just got a whole load of groundwork to do over in the corner by the pool. And then it's going to be bricks for August and September, then cladding. And it's going to look a whole lot better in a few months' time. So I'll leave you with a bit of a close-up. Well, there we go, that is oak framing done for now. We've got the west side done a couple of weeks back. If you want to check out those videos, you can do that. Otherwise, this side is all ready for that brick and cladding and some front doors. and then it might look a little bit more finished. Hope you enjoyed it. Any questions, just sit them down in the comments below and I'll weave my way through them and see if I can answer what you need to know. But there we go. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time. There's one gang on the farm that don't mind the rain.